For decades, everyone believed that young people were the happiest among us. But that story has flipped, and the data is impossible to ignore. A major study in JAMA Pediatrics found that since 2016, youth mental health in the US has been on a steady decline. And here's the shocker. This started before COVID-19, and it's only gotten worse since. Anxiety rates in children jumped from 7 to over 10%. Depression, up nearly 50%. And this isn't just an American issue, it's global. Countries like Sweden, Australia, and Canada are seeing similar or even bigger spikes in anxiety and depression among young people. Meanwhile, physical health problems like asthma and migraines, they've barely budged. So what's happening? For generations, happiness across our lives looked like a U. You're happiest as a kid, things dip in middle age, and you bounce back as you grow older. Now that curve is flattening us, or even turning upside down. Young people are reporting lower happiness than older adults, a shift the world hasn't seen before. Why? It's complicated. There's more academic pressure, less sleep, more vaping, and the stress of social media. But it's also the bigger stuff: economic insecurity, the cost of living, climate anxiety, and a world that feels unstable. Experts are sounding the alarm. What used to be a midlife crisis is now a youth mental health crisis. And the hardest part, most young people still can't get the help they need, even in wealthier countries. If we want a brighter future, we have to start by investing in the mental well-being of our youth today, because happy, healthy kids grow up to build a better world for all of us.
And we begin with breaking news at noon. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office just finished a news conference. They shared a picture and the name of the student who shot two other students at Evergreen High School yesterday. Investigators say 16-year-old Desmond Hawley went through the school looking for targets, but lockdown procedures kept him from getting through.
He came up against a roadblock on many of those doors. He couldn't get to those kids.
Thank you for being with us at noon. I'm Mikaela White. We want to give you a quick breakdown. There's a lot of new information the Sheriff's Office just shared with us. Investigators say 16-year-old Desmond Hawley seemed to have been, quote, radicalized by an extremist network. They did not provide more details on that. We know that he brought quite a bit of ammo, continued to reload a revolver handgun, take shots inside the school. The Sheriff's Office says Hawley eventually took his own life. We're also learning more about the two victims. Children's Hospital tells us they are treating one student. The other victim is still at St. Anthony's in Lakewood, and they were also critically hurt. Law enforcement has not identified either of those victims. Your reporter Justin Adams is live at Evergreen High School, where that update from law enforcement just happened. Justin, we heard you asking questions, and there are still plenty of questions that the community has about all of this.
Yeah, one of the questions that has been answered is that this crime scene doesn't only go at the school, but also behind the school, which is where one of the suspects was also hit in the incident from yesterday. As we told you earlier, look at your screen. This is the suspect, which was 16-year-old Desmond Hawley, a student of Evergreen High School. Now, this student was on a bus when he arrived to school yesterday. He had a handgun and fired it multiple times and reloaded it several times in order to fire again. Jefferson County officer says that he was allegedly a part of an extremist network, and there still hasn't been a motive that has been found at this moment.
The suspect's gun was fired a lot. The reason we have so many crime scene areas inside is because we have windows shot out. We have lockers that were shot up. We're finding spent rounds, unspent rounds, so it's a huge area. And the school, I was told, is 3 levels. So lots of work to be done, but he fired multiple times.
Did you know that teen mental health has been declining at an alarming rate worldwide, with rates of anxiety, depression, and suicide rising sharply in the last decade? If you're a parent, guardian, or educator, this video is a must-watch because understanding the why and what can save a life. In this video, we'll break down the real reasons behind this crisis, what signs to look for, and practical steps you can take right now to support your teen's mental health, backed by real science and expert advice. What is teen mental health? Mental health is an emotional, psychological, and social well-being. For teens, this means being able to cope with stresses, build relationships, and make healthy choices. Mental health is critical for brain development, identity formation, and social pressures. Recent data shows that over 50% of youth suffer from anxiety and depression. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among ages 10 to 24 in the US, UK, Canada, and Australia. Anxiety and depression rates among teens increased by over 50% in the past 10 years according to CDC, NHS, and Statistics Canada. Why is teen mental health declining? The following are the reasons teen mental health is declining. 1. Social media and screen time overload. Teens spend 7+ hours per day on screens. Social media can increase feelings of inadequacy, cyberbullying, and loneliness. Example: a UK study found teens who spend more than 3 hours per day on social media are 60% more likely to develop depression symptoms. 2. Academic and social pressure. Increased competition for college, jobs, and social acceptance. Pandemic effects caused loss of in-person interaction, social anxiety spike. Example: Canadian teens report feeling more stressed about grades and future than previous generations. 3. Lack of access to mental health care. Up to 85% of teens in some regions do not get treatment due to stigma, cost, or lack of providers. Waiting lists for counseling can be months long. Example: in rural Australia, teens often travel hours to see mental health specialists. 4. Family and economic stressors. Financial insecurity, family conflict, or parental mental illness impact teens deeply. Example: U.S. data shows teens in lower-income households have 2x the rates of anxiety disorders. 5. Biological and hormonal changes. Puberty causes brain chemistry fluctuations that increase vulnerability to mood disorders. Example: depression rates double in girls after puberty onset. What happens when mental health is ignored? Increased risk of self-harm and suicide. Poor academic performance and social withdrawal. Substance abuse as coping mechanism. Long-term adult mental health disorders. For example, Emma, a 16-year-old from Canada, started feeling anxious and withdrawn after moving schools. Her parents didn't recognize the signs until she stopped going to class and withdrew from family. Early intervention by a counselor helped her recover, but many teens aren't as lucky. What parents must know and do now. 1. Recognize the warning signs. Mood changes, irritability, sadness, withdrawal, changes in eating/sleeping habits, a loss of interest in activities, talk of hopelessness or death. 2. Create a safe space to talk. Listen without judgment. Use open-ended questions like, "How have you been feeling lately?" Validate feelings rather than dismiss them. 3. Limit screen time and encourage real connections. Set reasonable limits on social media and screen use. Encourage outdoor activities and face-to-face time with friends. 4. Seek professional help early. Don't wait for a crisis to call a counselor or therapist. Use school counselors, telehealth, or community resources. Share resources: National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, Kids Help Phone, Canada, NHS Mental Health Helplines, Beyond Blue, Australia. 5. Model healthy coping strategies. Exercise, mindfulness, hobbies, proper sleep hygiene. Show openness about your own mental health. Real-life action plan for parents. Step 1. Observe and note changes in your teen's behavior over 1 to 2 weeks. Step 2. Have a calm, private conversation focusing on empathy. Step 3. Help your teen build a daily routine with balanced screen time, physical activity, and relaxation. Step 4. Find a qualified mental health professional or use school resources. Step 5. Check in regularly and encourage small wins, no matter how tiny. Teen mental health is a complex but urgent issue affecting millions globally. By understanding the causes and knowing how to support your child, you can make a life-changing difference.
The two victims of Wednesday's shooting at Evergreen High School are still in the hospital tonight, just as a new report today is shedding new light about the shooter's troubling online past. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jennifer Meckles. This report from the Anti-Defamation League shows that months before the shooting, the Evergreen High School student had a fascination of mass shooters, including the two Columbine High School seniors who killed students and a teacher back in 1999. The report also found the shooter expressed neo-Nazi views and was active on social media sites featuring extreme ideologies, even gore. Investigators, meanwhile, have not shared any more information about what they know about the shooter being radicalized, which is all they've said up to this point, or where he got the gun. Tonight, we are talking with some experts about the line between regular internet exposure and when it turns troubling. 9 News reporter Shalima Maharaj joins us in studio tonight.
Good evening. Jeffco officials say they believe the 16-year-old was radicalized, but they haven't said anything more about that possible motive. Now, many people are trying to put the pieces together to figure out just how we got here.
It just takes one video, one concept, one idea that catches somebody's attention.
Why? That's the big question that's been on everyone's minds since Wednesday.
When a tragedy happens, we start putting all of these puzzle pieces together and we go, well, it's all right here.
9 News parenting expert Dr. Cheryl Ziegler is a mom to teens herself. She says there's a big difference between kids getting exposed to stories online and getting entrenched.
They start talking about even, let's say, conspiracy theories. They start bringing up, just these sort of fringe ideas, and they're very interested in them, and they want to either talk about it or they want to debate or argue with you. That's really a sign to maybe start looking into what the content is that they are consuming online.
I think one thing that's pretty problematic is that the plans and manifestos and personal statements of past perpetrators are available in some of these spaces.
Clinical psychologist Dr. Rachel Nielsen says experts are seeing more radicalization in the years since COVID. And in Colorado, 9 News Investigates counted 13 school shootings in our state since the attack at Columbine High School 26 years ago.
And so through hate forums and websites and rhetoric, kids can find things that appeal to some of their own personal grievances.
She says parents shouldn't be afraid.
We need to talk early and often
Of having tough conversations with their kids.
We're out of Pandora's box, right? So kids are going to be using the internet, so we need to teach them how to engage with it safely.
Now, Dr. Nielsen says the most vulnerable people are those who feel isolated and alone. They don't have a strong sense of identity, and they tend to be angrier and even more resentful of others. In studio, Shalima Maharaj, 9 News.
Shalima, thank you. Students at schools across Denver today walked out of class, both in support of the students at Evergreen High School and also to protest gun violence. This particular walkout, this was near Stanley Lake High School up in Westminster, where kids lined the streets holding signs with a message to end gun violence and have safer schools. A smaller group walked out of Golden High School. Staff there say the school is now planning for a bigger walkout next week.
A look at America's youth and the challenges of their mental health. The Surgeon General sensitive to the issues they're facing, making it a priority to help.
This morning, disturbing statistics showing a rising suicide rate.
In the decade prior to the pandemic, there was a 57% increase in the suicide rate among young people. And today, nearly half of high school students are telling us that they feel persistently sad or hopeless.
The largest increase among males ages 15 to 24, an 8% increase from 2021 to 2022. But overall, the highest increase seen in youth ages 10 to 24 and Black children, nearly 37% higher than the year before. The mental health epidemic hitting college campuses like North Carolina State, where 7 students have died from apparent suicides this year, to small communities like DeKalb, Illinois, where Nevaeh Mitchell was a cheerleader and active in her community.
She was my goofball. She was always cracking jokes, making people smile.
But she struggled with her mental health.
Did you have a sense that Nevaeh was struggling more than she had been?
No, her father and I thought everything was fine. looking back, and I've thought back a million times, as you can probably believe, but I can honestly say no.
In 2021, 22% of high school students reported seriously considering attempting suicide. 18% of high school students made a suicide plan during the past year. 10% of high school students attempted suicide one or more times, with 3% resulting in injury.
We've also seen that LGBTQ youth have also been suffering with rates of self-harm and suicide.
The Surgeon General says research shows it takes an average of 11 years from when a child first has symptoms to when they actually get care.
If you have any inkling that your child is struggling, do not wait. Do not be embarrassed. Do not think that you can fix it yourself. There are resources and people that can help you. Have those conversations. As a parent, sometimes it's not your job to fix it, but to get someone who can, and that's okay.
And so, of course, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's not just youth, it is everyone, every demographic, so many people across this country struggling. So it is important to know there are resources there. Get the help if you need it. If you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide, call or text the National Lifeline. They have made it so easy. 3 numbers, 988.
Yeah, the numbers are just so staggering.
They are.
It's really a matter of like diagnosis, identifying it, and providing the resources to people who need it.
I'm so glad you did this story because we need to be talking about this.
That's the thing, to break the stigma. We've got to talk about it. So here we are, 988.
Over the next few years, my children and millions of their peers will start down the path to adulthood. Each of their paths will be different. All will be filled with challenges along the way. But it's these challenges that I want to talk to you about today, because I'm deeply concerned as a parent and as a doctor that the obstacles this generation of young people face are unprecedented and uniquely hard to navigate. And the impact that's having on their mental health is devastating. There are a number of long-standing preventable factors that are driving this crisis. The recent ubiquity of technology platforms, especially social media platforms, have had harmful effects on many children. And meanwhile, progress on the issues that will determine the world this generation will inherit, like economic inequality, climate change, racial injustice, LGBTQ rights, the opioid epidemic, and gun violence, feels too slow. It's undercutting the fundamental American promise for many of our children, their hope in the possibility of a better future. All of these factors affecting youth mental health were true before the COVID-19 pandemic, but the last 2 years have dramatically changed young people's experiences at home, at school, and in their communities. It's not just the unfathomable number of deaths or the instability, it's also the pervasive sense of uncertainty and the nagging sense of fear. It's the isolation from loved ones, from friends, and from communities at a moment where human support systems are irreplaceable and more needed than ever before. But at the heart of our youth mental health crisis is a pervasive stigma that tells young people they should be embarrassed if they are struggling with depression, anxiety, stress, or loneliness. It makes a human condition feel inhuman. But senators, we are on the verge of beating back one public health crisis in COVID-19 only to see another grow in its place. In 2019, the year before the pandemic, 1 in 3 high school students reported feeling persistent feelings of sadness or hopelessness, up 40% from a decade prior. From 2011 to 2015, youth psychiatric visits to emergency departments for depression, anxiety, and behavioral challenges increased by 28%. Between 2007 and 2018, suicide rates among youth aged 10 to 24 increased by 57%, a total of 65,026 young people lost. As devastating as these numbers are, the real tragedy is that we are failing as a country to adequately respond to them. Even before the pandemic, we were not doing enough to provide adequate care and treatment options in every community. And COVID-19 has only made that disparity worse.